Switzerland is statistically safer than the US. So why did the State Department just issue a travel warning? What they're not telling you could ruin your $5,000 dream vacation. And after what I discovered, I honestly don't know if I'd go back. Look, when you think travel warning, you're picturing crime, terrorism, political unrest, right? That's not what's happening here. Switzerland's homicide rate is 0.5 per 100,000 people. In the US, 6.3. So what's going on? Here's what the official advisory buried in the fine print. It's not about violence. It's about a massive crackdown on tourist behavior. And most visitors have no idea they're breaking rules until it's too late. Meet Marcus from Seattle. He planned his Switzerland honeymoon for 2 years. $8,000 invested. He arrives in Interlaken last June, ready for those iconic alpine views. Within 48 hours, he's being questioned by police, his photography equipment's confiscated, and he's nearly detained. His crime? He was shooting video with a gimbal stabilizer in a pedestrian zone. Turns out, Switzerland classifies certain camera equipment as commercial gear, requiring permits, even for personal use. Marcus had no idea. The Swiss Federal Police report shows a 340% increase in tourist-related incidents since 2023, and here's the thing. These aren't crimes in the traditional sense. These are cultural violations that Switzerland has decided to prosecute. Before you book your trip, you need to check the Swiss Federal Office for Customs website for the updated prohibited activities list. Download the Switzerland Travel Rules app. It's free, and 73% of Swiss residents actually use it to stay compliant. But Marcus's story? That was just a warm-up for what's really going on. Let me tell you about the $250 photo that broke the internet, and why locals in Lauterbrunnen are actually celebrating. Jennifer's a travel influencer from LA, 450,000 followers. She shows up in Lauterbrunnen last May for that perfect Instagram shot. You know the one. Those traditional Swiss chalets with the waterfall backdrop, golden hour lighting. She sets up her tripod on the public road, poses, captures the shot. That's when a homeowner comes out and calls the police. Jennifer gets slapped with a 250 Swiss franc fine. That's $280 US dollars for visual trespassing. That's right. She photographed private property without consent, even though she was standing on a public road. Her followers exploded, calling it dystopian censorship, an attack on creative freedom. Swiss locals? They called it justice. Here's what you're not seeing on Instagram. Lauterbrunnen implemented photography restrictions in April 2024. In the first 3 months, they issued 89 fines, averaging 220 francs each. But here's the number that matters. A local survey by Blick newspaper in July showed 94% of residents support the law. One resident, Anna Muller, told SRF News in June, "We became a backdrop for strangers' content. People looked through us, not at us. Our children couldn't play outside without ending up on TikTok." Instagram posts tagged Lauterbrunnen dropped 67% after the law passed, and locals report the village finally feels livable again. These laws are now spreading to Grindelwald, Wingen, Murren. So what do? Visit approved photo zones. They're marked with green signs. Better yet, hire a local photography guide for 50 to 80 francs. They know the permitted areas, they get consent from homeowners, and honestly, they'll show you angles tourists never find. Or support businesses that welcome photography. A lot of cafes let you shoot from their rooftops when you're actually a customer. That's annoying, sure. But wait until you hear what happened to tourists who didn't know about the drone laws. This violation doesn't just cost money. It can land you in Swiss federal custody. August 2024, Zermatt. Jake and Sophie, 2 British tourists, wake up at 5 a.m. for that perfect Matterhorn sunrise shot. They launch their drone. 6 minutes later, police helicopters are surrounding them. Their drone? Confiscated permanently. Their passports? Held for 3 days during the investigation. The fine? 4,500 Swiss francs. That's $5,040 US dollars. And here's the kicker. They now have a criminal record that complicates security clearance applications back home. Switzerland banned recreational drones in 87% of alpine areas under a 2023 law that they started enforcing heavily in 2024. And if you're in a wildlife protection zone, drone use equals automatic criminal charge, not a civil fine. There's a huge difference. The Swiss Air Rescue reported that 23 helicopter rescue missions were disrupted by tourist drones in 2024. Think about that. Someone's life or death emergency delayed because a tourist wanted a cool video. The Federal Aviation Office confiscated 156 drones between January and October 2024. In all of 2022, 12. Average fine, 3,200 francs. Criminal record, 68% of cases. Here's why locals are so angry about this. Drones terrify ibex and chamois during birthing season, which runs May through July. When a mother gets spooked, she abandons her young. A 2023 University of Zurich study documented 34 wildlife deaths directly linked to drone disturbances. Your alternative? Book certified aerial photography tours. They use licensed pilots, approved zones, 150 to 200 francs. Many hotels now offer drone footage packages using licensed operators. Or check Foca's interactive map showing legal flight zones. Spoiler alert, they're mostly flat farmland, not the scenic mountains you want. At least those tourists knew they had drones. The next group? They had no idea their Airbnb was illegal. Zurich just weaponized a law that could invalidate your accommodation, even if you booked it months ago. The Martinez family from Dallas. Christmas 2024. They book a charming alpine apartment in Zurich through Airbnb 6 months in advance. $2,400 total. They arrived December 23rd, ready for a Swiss Christmas with their kids. Police locks on the door. The apartment was operating illegally. Airbnb refunded their money, but there were 0 available hotels within 50 kilometers during peak season. They spent Christmas in a Frankfurt airport hotel 3 hours away. Their kids' Swiss Christmas? Destroyed. Here's what's happening. Zurich passed a law in 2023 making short-term rentals illegal without explicit cantonal permission. A Tages-Anzeiger investigation in February found that 76% of Zurich Airbnbs now operate illegally. Since January 2024, over 400 tourists have arrived to find locked doors. Similar laws just passed in Geneva. There's a 90-day annual limit. Basel requires neighborhood approval. Lucerne limits it to commercial zoning only. And here's the worst part. Airbnb doesn't verify legal status. That burden falls entirely on you, the guest. Why is this happening? Housing crisis. Average Zurich rent is up 31% since 2020. Locals are being priced out by investment properties converted to tourist rentals. City Council member Marco Weber told NZZ in March, "We're choosing residents over revenue." Your move. Book only through hotels or Switzerland Tourism's verified accommodation portal. If you're set on Airbnb or VRBO, ask the host for their cantonal permit number and verify it with the local tourism office before you pay. Or consider hotels in smaller towns 15 to 30 minutes away by train. Switzerland's transit system makes this seamless, and it's often cheaper anyway. So your accommodation might be illegal. Your photos could cost you hundreds. Your drones getting confiscated. But nothing prepared tourists for what happened in the mountains themselves. This is the part that shocked me most, because it's not even about laws. It's about unwritten rules that locals will punish you for breaking. David's an experienced hiker from Colorado. Jungfrau region, July 2024. He's doing what he's done on U.S. trails for years, playing music from a Bluetooth speaker while he hikes. Just some chill tunes, enjoying nature. Within 20 minutes, other hikers start confronting him, first verbally, then physically blocking his path. One local calls mountain rescue, reporting him for disturbing the peace. When mountain patrol arrives, they tell him, "No law broken, but you violated alpine culture." They escort him down the mountain. The mountain hut refuses him service. His hiking club membership? The Swiss Alpine Club revoked it for behavior unbecoming. No legal fine, but complete social ostracization. The Swiss Alpine Club published mountain etiquette guidelines in 2024, and silence is non-negotiable. A survey by Wander magazine in September found 91% of Swiss hikers support social enforcement of silence. Between January and August 2024, 67 tourists reported hostile encounters on trails. None resulted in crimes, but the cultural clash is real. TripAdvisor reviews mentioning unwelcoming locals are up 156% year over year. Here's the cultural context you need to understand. Alpine silence isn't about rules, it's spiritual. Swiss culture views mountains as sacred spaces for reflection, stress relief, connection with nature. To locals, playing music on a trail is like talking loudly in a cathedral during prayer. David wrote on his blog in August, "How was I supposed to know? There are no signs. It felt like everyone knew a secret code except me. Your alternative? Embrace the silence. Use it as a digital detox. If you absolutely need audio, use earbuds, one ear only for safety. Research Wanderculture before you go hiking. It's not gatekeeping, it's respect. Or consider hiring a Swiss hiking guide for your first trek. They teach etiquette plus safety, 80 to 120 francs. Here's what all of this really means for your trip. The State Department's warning isn't about danger. It's about something much more uncomfortable. Here's the real warning. Switzerland is fighting back against over-tourism by making it expensive and culturally demanding to visit carelessly. This isn't about your safety, it's about selection. They're pricing out and regulating out the tourists they don't want. Switzerland Tourism's 2024 to 2027 strategy explicitly states quality over quantity. They're targeting higher spending, lower impact visitors. And it's working. Tourist arrivals were down 8% in 2024, but tourism revenue was up 12%. That's from their annual report. Environmental impact studies show tourist volume has hit critical threshold in 14 alpine regions. And here's something I noticed. U.S. tourists now face stricter scrutiny. Customs interviews averaged 8 minutes in 2024 versus 3 minutes in 2022. The uncomfortable truth? Switzerland can afford to be selective. Their GDP per capita is $92,000. In the U.S., $76,000. They don't need mass tourism. They're choosing local quality of life over tourist convenience. And legally, they have every right to do that. And here's what scares me. Switzerland's leading a trend. Venice just implemented tourism taxes. Barcelona banned most Airbnbs. Amsterdam literally launched a stay-away campaign. This is the future of European travel, and we need to adapt or we'll keep getting burned. So here's my question. Are Switzerland's new restrictions protecting local culture, or are they creating a travel experience that only the wealthy can afford? And if you visited Switzerland recently, did you experience any of this hostility, or are locals exaggerating? Drop your honest take below. I want to hear from both sides. Because this conversation, it's just getting started.